Okay, hey. Um, so this week I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, not that there's so many things going on in the world right now, but one that I've been following really closely for years is the Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos prosecution. As a woman in sciences, it's hard to state how much pressure that there is on, like, women engineer and scientific figures. So seeing one that was sort of having that was a fraud, right, a fall from grace, to say the least, is disheartening because it puts a lot of pressure on, and it's not up to any, one woman to bear the weight of every other, but we don't exist in a vacuum, right? And so these things, while they aren't our responsibility, they do affect each other in some ways. So one of the things I think is really interesting around Elizabeth Holmes is there's so much conversation around her voice and her appearance, in a way that, again, is extremely gendered, even though it was, in I think a lot of cases, relevant in the sense it was part of her grift. But part of why that works is because it doesn't exist in a vacuum. So I just wanted to, people often talk about her, like how bad her hair was, like it was like fried and blonde and bleached and straightened and just flyaways, not sort of the typical polished look you'd expect of a lot of other female celebrities or CEOs for that matter. But this is from a 2019 piece in Outline, 2018, by Amanda Mull. And this is just something that ever since I read this years ago, I just keep thinking about this. But this is a quote from the piece. Holmes's hair and makeup seemed to acknowledge that she understood what was expected of her appearance as a relatively young woman, but she'd really rather focus on more cerebral matters. She couldn't let herself be ugly enough to turn men off or pretty enough to make them doubt her intelligence, so she appeared to color her hair but left the ends scraggly and dead as it grew. Her blonde highlights were always present, but that was part of the problem. You could see them and where they were painted on, and high-end color would have hidden in plain sight. Holmes also always wore the same makeup, and not only was it applied poorly, but specifically in such a way that you noticed its poor application. She created problems with her appearance that weren't really there, like the fuzzy hair of a bad blowout that could have been easily smoothed, or the slightly askew application of a neutral, easy-to-apply lipstick, and then she pointedly declined to solve them. Just looked at her over there, being beautiful but serious. And I think sort of this expectation to be beautiful but serious is endemic. And that was something that I think a lot of women use to get by in not just STEM and entertainment fields, but lots of fields. And then the way Elizabeth Holmes, I think, applied it is sort of the dark side of that coin, if you will. Like, I don't think the thing itself, creating an artifice of self to code switch in different environments, for example, or to be taken more seriously. It sucks that you have to do that, but in different environments, I don't think that is necessarily bad. But I do think that once it's sort of exposed, the gendered way in which people talk about it, as if it's this crazy thing. And I think that of all the things that Elizabeth Holmes scammed people on, these are some of the most normal ones, like pitching down your voice if you're trying to sound serious when you're talking to a bunch of men, especially at that time when she was 20, right? And I'm not trying to be an apologist for Elizabeth Holmes. I'm pretty solidly convinced she knew all of these things going on. But as far as what was pathological about her, I don't think that that's what it was. But there are things that are easy for people to identify. I think an ongoing joke is the idea that men in the stereotype, right? If you wear natural makeup, they think you're not wearing makeup. But if you're not wearing makeup, they think you look sick. And then if your eyelids are blue, they're like, whoa. Or the Sailor J jokes. And I think these are all kind of parts of the same spectrum. And I just think, as someone who enjoys like makeup and the artifice of that, right, and seeing it as a skill that you just enjoy or use to navigate things, hearing this part of the conversation, I think, is one that's not getting as much mainstream traction as, and legitimately so in some ways, as some of the more immediate issues about criminality. But I think over time, we're going to see more interesting discussions, including these parts of it, come up. So those are my thoughts for the day. Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.